Chapter 82. The Future. The prophet said, "The best of my people are my generation, then those that come after them, then those that come after them." And he rejoiced in the outstanding members of his generation, that is, in those whom he considered his companions. To 10 of them who visited him on one occasion, he promised paradise. These were Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf, Abu Ubaidah, Talha, Zubair, Sa'd of Zuhra, and Sa'id, the son of Zayd the Hanif. He had already given the same assurance to some of them before, and the books of his sayings have recorded much of his great praises of the promised 10, and of others to whom he also gave good tidings of paradise, as when he affirmed, "For 3 does paradise long for Ali, Ammar too, and Salman." To Fatima he said, "You are the highest of the women of the people of paradise, excepting only the Virgin Mary, daughter of Imran." In prediction of the great part to be played by Ali as one of the chief transmitters of his wisdom to future generations, he said, "I am the city of knowledge, and Ali is its gate." And he said in general, "My companions are like the stars. Whichever of them you follow, you will be rightly guided." When the men returned from Tabuk, they had said among themselves that their days of fighting were now at an end, and this idea was so strengthened by the coming of the various delegations, which continued throughout the 10th year, that many of the believers set about selling their arms and armour. But when the prophet heard of this, he forbade them to do so, saying, "A body of my people will not cease to fight for the truth until the coming forth of the Antichrist." He also said, "If you knew what I know, you would laugh little and weep much. And no time comes upon you, but is followed by a worse." He warned them that his people would surely follow the Jews and the Christians upon the path of degeneration. "You will follow those who came before you span by span and cubit by cubit, until if they went down the hole of a poisonous reptile, you would follow them down." And in speaking of the lowest ebb that would be reached by mankind in general before the end, he said, "Islam began as something strange and will become strange once more." And yet he promised that God would not abandon them. God will send to this community, at the head of every 100 years, someone who will renew for it its religion. On another occasion, those of his companions who were with him heard him exclaim more than once, "O my brothers!" They said to him, "O Messenger of God, are we not your brothers?" And he answered, "You are my companions, but my brothers are among those who have not yet come." In other versions, who will come in the last days. The way he spoke suggested that he was referring to persons of great spiritual eminence. He also prophesied that despite the evils of the latter days, there will arise a caliph whom people will speak of as the Mahdi, which means the rightly guided. "The Mahdi will be of my stock, and he will be broad of forehead and aquiline of nose. He will fill the earth with right and with justice, just as it has been filled with wrong and oppression. He will reign for 7 years. But finally, towards the end of his reign or after it, the Antichrist would come, a man blind in his right eye, in which all light is extinguished, as if it were a grape. And he would cause great corruption on earth, and by his power to work marvels he would win more and more men to his side. But there would be a body of believers who would fight against him. "When they are pressing on to fight," said the prophet, "even while they straighten their lines for the prayer when it is called, Jesus, the son of Mary, will descend and will lead them in the prayer. And the enemy of God, when he sees Jesus, will melt as salt melts in water. If he were let be, he would melt to perishing, but God will slay him at the hand of Jesus, who will show them his blood upon his lance." Fat, He also spoke of many of the signs by which people might know that the coming to pass of these final things was near, and as one of the signs he mentioned the excessive height of the buildings that men would build. But that prophecy was made on a great occasion which must be chronicled more fully on the authority of Umar's son Abdullah, repeating the words of his father. Umar said, "One day when we were sitting with the messenger of God, there came to us a man whose clothes were of exceeding whiteness, and whose hair was of exceeding blackness. There were no signs of travel upon him, though none of us knew him. He sat down knee to knee opposite the Prophet, and placed the palms of his hands on his thighs, saying, 'O Muhammad, tell me what is submission, Islam.' The messenger of God answered him, saying, 'Submission is to testify that there is no God but God, and that Muhammad is God's messenger, to perform the prayer, bestow the alms, fast in Ramadan, and make the pilgrimage to the Holy House if you can.' He said, 'You have spoken truly,' and we were amazed that, having questioned him, he should confirm him. Then he said, 'Tell me what is faith, Iman?' He answered, 'To believe in God and his angels and his books and his messengers and the last day, and to believe that no good or evil comes but by his providence.' 'You have spoken truly,' he said, and then, 'Tell me what is excellence, Ihsan?' He answered, 'To worship God as if you saw him, for even if you do not see him, he sees you.' 'You have spoken truly,' he said, and then, 'Tell me about the hour.' He answered, 'The one questioned about it knows no better than the questioner.' He said, 'Then tell me about its signs.' He answered, 'That the slave girl will give birth to her mistress, and that those who were barefoot, naked, needy herdsmen will build buildings ever higher and higher.' Then the stranger went away, and I stayed a while after he had gone. The Prophet said to me, 'O Umar, do you know who the questioner was?' I said, 'God and his messenger know best.' He said, 'It was Gabriel. He came to teach you your religion.'